In the cold winds of Scotland, a baby girl was crowned queen before she could even open her eyes. Loved by kings, betrayed by men, and trapped between power and faith, her life became a storm that shook two nations. She rose from a cradle to a crown, from a palace to a prison, and walked to her death with the grace of a queen. This is not just history. It's the haunting story of Mary, Queen of Scots, the woman who was born to rule and destined to fall. The birth of a queen. In December 1542, in the cold castles of Scotland, a baby girl was born. Her name was Mary Stuart, the child who would soon wear a crown before she could even walk. Her father, King James V of Scotland, died only 6 days after her birth. The infant Mary, not yet able to open her eyes fully to the world, was declared Queen of Scotland. The nobles gathered in silence. Outside, the winter wind howled against the walls, as if warning that this tiny queen's life would not be easy. She was born to rule, but her destiny was written in storm and sorrow. Like a child sent away. Because Scotland was torn by danger and politics, the council decided to send young Mary to France for her safety. There, she would be raised among the French royals, far away from the chaos of her homeland. France was beautiful and full of life. Golden halls, music, and bright dresses. The young Scottish queen grew up learning poetry, dance, and languages. She was loved by many, and her beauty became famous across Europe. People whispered, "She is not just a queen, she is a dream." Among her closest companions was the young Prince Francis, the heir to the French throne. They played together as children, and soon their friendship turned into something gentle and deep, love. A royal marriage. When Mary turned 16, her marriage to Prince Francis united two great kingdoms, Scotland and France. The streets of Paris were filled with celebration. Trumpets sounded, bells rang, and the people cheered for their new queen and king. Mary wore a gown of silver and white, her smile bright, but her heart humble. She believed she had finally found peace, love, and power together in one life. For a short time, the world seemed kind to her, but destiny had another plan. The first loss. Only 2 years later, tragedy struck. Francis became sick, very sick. Mary stayed beside him, praying day and night. She held his hand, whispering words of comfort, but nothing could stop death from coming. When Francis died, Mary was just 18. Her heart broke, and her world fell apart. Now she was a widow, a queen without a king, and a stranger in a foreign land. The French court, once filled with laughter, turned cold. Whispers began behind her back. The young queen has lost her fortune. Mary knew she could not stay. She decided to return home, to Scotland, the land she had left as a child. The queen returns. When Mary arrived in Scotland, the people gathered to see her, their long-lost queen. She stepped off the ship, tall and graceful, with sadness hidden behind her eyes. But the Scotland she returned to was not the same. The land was divided by religion and power. Catholics and Protestants were fighting for control. Even her own nobles did not fully trust her. They saw her as too French, too different to rule them. Still, Mary tried to be fair and kind. She worked hard to bring peace, to listen to her people, to rebuild what had been broken. Her charm won many hearts, but behind smiles, enemies were already plotting. The search for love. Again, Mary was still young, beautiful, clever, and full of hope. The council urged her to marry again, to strengthen her rule. Among many suitors, one man stood out, Henry Lord Darnley, a tall and handsome nobleman who was also of royal blood. At first, Mary was fascinated by him. He was charming, sweet, with words, and made her laugh again after many lonely years. She thought she had found a partner who could understand her heart. In 1565, they married in a grand ceremony in Edinburgh. The bells of Scotland rang once more for their queen, but not everyone was happy. Many nobles saw Darnley as proud and selfish. Even her people began to whisper, "This man is not fit to be our king." Mary, however, tried to ignore the rumors. She wanted to believe in love. A crown and a curse. At first, the marriage seemed strong. Soon, Mary gave birth to a son, James, the future king of both Scotland and England. For a moment, she smiled again. But Darnley's heart grew darker. He wanted more power, more control. He became jealous of Mary's secretary, David Rizzio, who was close to her. Blinded by envy, Darnley joined with a group of rebels. One night they broke into Mary's chambers, Darnley among them, and killed Rizzio in front of the pregnant queen's eyes. Mary screamed, but no one came to help her. That night, her trust and love shattered forever. She realized the man she had chosen to share her crown might also destroy her throne. Shadows over the throne. After Rizzio's murder, Mary tried to forgive Darnley, but their marriage was already poisoned. He lived away from her, weak and paranoid, while she ruled alone. Soon, rumors began again that Darnley had enemies plotting against him. Even Mary kept her distance. And then, one cold February night, an explosion shook the city. Darnley's house was destroyed, and his body was found in the garden. Scotland gasped. Who had killed the king? The people looked at Mary, some in fear, some in doubt. That night, Mary didn't know that her love would soon turn into her biggest betrayal. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe the channel. Your support inspires us to create even better videos. The King's Death and Rising Storm. The death of Lord Darnley shocked all of Scotland. The night his house exploded, many claimed they saw strange figures leaving the scene. The news spread like wildfire. The king has been murdered, Mary mourned, but whispers filled every court and tavern. Some said she knew of the plan. Others said she was innocent, trapped by the ambitions of those around her. In truth, no one could tell. But one name began to echo through the halls: James Bothwell, a powerful noble and soldier. The mysterious Earl of Bothwell. James Bothwell was bold, fearless, and ruthless. He had fought for Mary before and claimed to love her deeply. He offered protection, loyalty, and perhaps something more. Many believed Bothwell had arranged Darnley's death. Yet, after a brief and suspicious trial, he was set free. Only a month later, the unthinkable happened. Mary married Bothwell. The nation erupted in anger. Her people saw the marriage as proof of guilt. Nobles turned against her. Even her supporters began to doubt her heart. Mary, however, believed she had chosen strength, someone who could protect her from the wolves around her. But the wolves had already surrounded the castle. Rebellion against the Queen. Within weeks, powerful Scottish lords raised an army against Mary and Bothwell. They met at a place called Carberry Hill in June 1567. Mary's soldiers were outnumbered. Bothwell escaped into the hills, leaving Mary behind. Alone and defeated, the Queen surrendered. The nobles took her captive and carried her to a cold castle, Loch Leven, in the middle of a lonely lake. There, they forced her to give up her crown. Her infant son, James VI, was declared the new king. Mary, only 24 years old, had lost everything: her husband, her crown, and her freedom. The escape of the fallen queen. Yet, the spirit of Mary Stuart was not broken. After almost a year in prison, she planned her escape. One dark night, disguised as a servant, she slipped through the castle gates and escaped by boat across the cold waters of Loch Leven. Her loyal supporters met her on the other side. Once again she raised her banner. The Queen was free. Thousands of Scots gathered to fight for her return. But destiny struck again. At the Battle of Langside, her army was defeated by the forces of her enemies. Mary fled south, across the border into England, hoping her cousin, Queen Elizabeth I, would protect her. She believed that a queen would understand another queen, but she was wrong. The captive of England. Elizabeth saw Mary not as a cousin, but as a threat. Many English Catholics believed Mary had a stronger claim to the throne than Elizabeth herself. To Elizabeth's advisors, Mary was dangerous, a living symbol that could start rebellion. So, instead of welcome and safety, Mary found chains and walls. She was taken to various castles and manors, kept under constant watch. Her golden crown was gone, replaced by endless silence and guards outside every door. Years turned into decades. Mary grew older, her beauty fading, but her dignity never left her. She wrote letters full of hope, faith, and longing for freedom. Sometimes she dreamed of her son, James, now growing far away from her. 19 long years passed. The shadow of treason. As time went on, several plots rose in England, plans by Catholic supporters to overthrow Elizabeth and place Mary on the throne. Though she was locked away, Mary's name became a weapon. Letters and secret messages moved through hidden channels. Then, one day, Elizabeth's spies claimed they had found proof. A letter in Mary's handwriting supporting one of these plots. The Babington plot, they called it. Mary said she was innocent, that her enemies had trapped her, but the council decided otherwise. The once great Queen of Scotland would now face trial, accused of treason against the Queen of England. The trial of a queen. In October 1586, Mary stood before a court of English nobles in the great hall of Fotheringhay Castle. She was calm and proud, wearing black with a white veil. They read the charges aloud, but she refused to kneel. "Greater than, I am a queen," she said. "My place is not among criminals." The trial was long, the evidence uncertain, but the decision was already made. Mary was declared guilty and sentenced to death. When Elizabeth heard the news, even she hesitated. The death of a fellow queen was no small thing, but politics was stronger than mercy. The last morning. On the cold morning of February 8th, 1587, Mary rose early. She dressed in a crimson gown, the color of martyrdom, and prayed for peace. When the guards came for her, she walked calmly, holding a small cross in her hands. In the great hall, a crowd waited in silence. Mary smiled gently, forgiving those who would soon end her life. "I die in faith," she said softly, "a true daughter of the Church." She laid her head upon the block, whispered a final prayer. And with one swift stroke, the story of Mary, Queen of Scots, came to an end. The legacy lives. On news of her death spread across Europe, many wept, others rejoiced. But in that moment, a legend was born. Her son, James VI of Scotland, would later become James I of England, uniting the two kingdoms, a dream Mary had always wished for. In the end, her blood built the bridge between Scotland and England. Even today, her name echoes through the castles, her portraits hanging in quiet halls, her story told in whispers and tears. The spirit of a queen. She had lost her throne, her freedom, and her life, but she never lost her courage. In her final moments, Mary Stuart proved that a true queen is not crowned by power, but by dignity and faith. And when the wind sweeps across the lonely Scottish hills, some say it still carries her voice, soft, proud, and eternal, greater than. I was born a queen. I have lived as a queen, and I shall die a queen. Thank you for watching.